when you're in Copilot, there will be a microphone available. So I will demonstrate how to use the microphone. I actually use it a lot because I prefer to talk over typing. I just would rather talk and because I'm saying it in my head as I'm typing it anyway, so I might as well just say things out loud. But if you come into a file, whether it's PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Excel, if you look at the home tab of the ribbon, that's where you're going to find Copilot. Notice that the Copilot icon for me is over here on the right-hand side. Notice the color of it is green. It's got the same icon, but the inside border of, I should say, the inside piece of this Copilot icon, which I did read the history as to how that logo was created. I'm always interested in things like that. It's actually a combination of the letter C with an O with a circle because it's all inclusive. It's kind of cool. But anyway, the color changes depending on which app you're in. It matches the app color. So the Copilot here in Excel is green. But what if you come in and the Copilot icon is grayed out? If you have that happen, it's meaning that the file that you're actively in is not saved in a cloud. So the file does need to be saved in a cloud for Copilot to be available. You can't have it saved to a flash drive, to your C drive, that kind of a thing. So if it's grayed out, do a file save as, save it to a cloud, whether it's Teams, of course, which is SharePoint document libraries, or your OneDrive. Okay? With all that being said, a huge part of using Copilot is going to be images. We can use images in any of your applications by just prompting Copilot to include an image. I don't usually use images in Excel, so I won't demonstrate images in Excel. But I wanted to really talk about images because they're very popular. I get asked all the time about using images in Copilot, but that's where the prompting comes into play. You want to be as specific as you possibly can when you have Copilot generate an image. And that's with any AI tool, whether you're using ChatGPT or you're using Copilot. You always want to give it clear instructions as to what it is that you want it to do. So keep in mind, prompting is extremely important to practice with. So enough about that. Let's do some demonstrations. So I'm going to be starting with Copilot in Excel. And I'm actually going to go to a worksheet. Let me go to company orders. I'll start out in this one. So in this worksheet, you can see that I have columns and rows of information. I have a column for company name, country, salesperson, order ID, order date. So these are a bunch of orders that have been placed. And what I need to do with this information is analyze it further. But I don't want to manually have to do any of that because I don't like that word manual. I like the word automate. I want everything I possibly can to be automated these days. So if I go to the Copilot icon, is it automatically has analyzed the data that I have on my screen because it's in a table. So it's very quick on doing that. And so it's giving me some suggestions in the Copilot window. It wants to know if I want to create a new column with a formula in this table, if I want to edit, if I want to sort and filter my data, or if I just wanted to analyze my data. I'm going to go ahead and click Analyze just to get our thought process kind of started here on what exactly can Copilot do in Excel. And by the way, I think I use Copilot every single day in all of my applications. If I'm not in ChatGPT, I'm using Copilot because I want it to help me to analyze my information. So data analysis is a big part of using Copilot in all of our applications, especially here in Excel. So once your data is in a table on the right-hand side, it's actually telling me I can analyze data and show insights. It can actually do charts. It can even do pivot tables now. When it first was released, it could not do pivot tables, but now the updated version can actually create pivot tables. So it's giving me some suggestions based on the analysis that it already did on my information. So it's giving me some prompts down below under this response it gave me. And it says percentage distribution of salespeople, top three company names by total of extended price, and percentage of total unit price for each product name. So these are some things that it could analyze for me. And it's giving me these suggestions after it looked over my data. So whatever your data is, it's going to automatically look over it and give you suggestions. If I click on any of these, it's going to work on it. It's going to take that information that from that prompt and analyze that data further and give me results of it. Sometimes the results that it gives me, but what it just did was it came back and said, I'm unable to calculate the percentage of total of unit price for each product. Could I please provide more details in the prompt? If you're starting to see that the prompt comes back and questions you, it doesn't provide the information, you have to give it a little bit more detail. So I'm going to start doing some Q&A with it to have it further analyze this information and make changes to it. I want to just kind of really show off some of the features of what it can actually do in Excel. So first, once you have it in a table, I can go to the prompt down at the bottom where it says ask a question or make a request of the data, and I can have it do specific entries or changes to the information for me. So one of the things that I want it to do is highlight the salesperson name of Janet Cleverly in a green color. I'll make sure I spelt everything. See, I didn't have salesperson in there correctly, so I better make sure that I have things spelled correctly. So I'm asking it to highlight the salesperson name of Janet Everline in a green color. I'll just leave it a little generic right there. So we can have it do conditional formatting by just prompting it with what we want it to do. It can create formulas. It can do, and I'll do an example of creating a formula. But once again, it's a little sluggish. I do have about 1,500 rows of information, but when it's done, it automatically did that for me. Now, could I have gone to conditional formatting and done that myself? Absolutely. But if I want to have Copilot do it for me, it's a lot easier. So I usually will have Copilot do those kind of things for me now. So a couple of other examples. What if I just want to ask it a question about my data? Maybe I want to ask it, which salesperson had the highest sales for the October 2021. This is older information. So I'll just say which salesperson had the highest sales in October 2021. Now, could I personally figure that out myself? Yes. But what if I just want to know? Because I'm in a meeting and we're analyzing this data and somebody asked that question. I could have Copilot can automatically bring that information back for me. Now, what it's doing, which is an enhancement since the previous version, is it actually tells me Andrew Fuller had the highest sales in October 2021 with a total of 13,628. Do I want to copy that data and place it someplace? If I did, I could copy and paste it. We didn't have that capability before where it gives us to insert the information, but we definitely can do that. So that's a great option to have it use that feature. I'm going to have it do another example for us. Let's say that I wanted to highlight, because this is something that I recently did, highlight the quantities that have a number greater than, oops, greater than or equal to, what's our quantities? 50. Now I should be talking to it because I can talk quicker than I can type. And my talking is understood a little bit better. So I'll show you an example of that here next. But just so you know, it can do just about anything that we tell it to do. So highlight the quantities that have a number greater than, it automatically will highlight those. We could say the top 25% due in this color, the bottom 25 due in this color. Different things can be done, of course, depending on exactly what it is that you need. But also, what if I want to filter this data? Filter my data based on the country column, USA and Canada. So I asked it to filter that data based on USA and Canada based on the column country. So it knows what exactly the column is that I wanted to analyze the data from. Okay, so it automatically has applied that filter for me. Now, that's a lot easier sometimes than me going to the filter drop down, unclicking something, and then clicking it again and again. So it is very quick and very easy. I'm going to continue the conversation with it. Remove the filter from country. So it will automatically do that as well. So we can have it do whatever it is that we need it to do by talking to it or by typing in what we want it to do. But something that I use on a regular basis with this is also creating charts and creating pivot tables. So the next thing that I'm going to have it do is create a pivot table based on specific information. I'm going to use my microphone again. Create a pivot table based on the salesperson and the extended price. And by the way, I'm clicking on the send button over at the right-hand side. After I talk into it, I'm clicking that to tell it to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, it's a little bit slower because it has to recognize that you stopped talking. So it's just a quicker way to have it respond. Okay, so what it does then is it automatically is showing me the results of that pivot table. And now it wants to know, what do I want to do with the results of this? And it actually gave me a nice little summary. And so you can see that on the right-hand side, I have the pivot table, and I could add it to a new sheet just by clicking add to new sheet. So now I have a brand new sheet with that pivot table on it. And you can see that it also gave me a summary. A pivot table has been created showing the total extended price by salesperson, blah, blah, blah. So I love this. To me, this is so much easier than that word manual. Once again, I love that word automate. So it allows me to then even jump back to that sheet. So I have this go back to. I could even undo it. So pretty amazing what it can do. But let me do another example for you with this before I move on to Microsoft Word and to PowerPoint. What if I want a chart? I could have it create a chart for me as well. And it will give me the same similar example of, it will show me the chart prior. Now I'm going to do a different type of a prompt here. Let me show you what I mean by that. Create a chart based on salesperson and extended price. So if you notice what I asked it, it was very generic. I just said create a chart. I didn't say what kind of a chart or what colors to use or anything like that. So the results that it's actually going to bring back is going to be what it assumes I want it to use. If I wanted it to be a pie chart and I wanted it to use specific colors, I would have to tell it that. Or if I wanted to be a 3D pie, create a 3D pie chart based on salesperson and extended price. So just so you could see, the first example that I did, it assumed that I wanted a bar chart. So it automatically gave me a bar chart. And as you can see, I could click the add to a new sheet where it could automatically add it. And it gives me the summary going along with that as well. And it's actually telling me it's unable to create a pie chart based on that specific data. However, I can assist you with other charts to analyze if you're interested. So I'm not real sure why it's not doing that because I create pie charts all the time based on that type of information. But just so you're seeing, it's giving me that as a response. But let me go ahead and I'm going to have it create another pie chart. Create a pie chart based on orders in the UK and extended price. Now, I didn't, once again, tell it what type of a chart to create. I really just wanted to have it create a chart so that you could see that I could have it automatically be placed within a specific area. The other thing that I didn't demonstrate yet was a formula. So I'll do that before I move on to Microsoft Word here. But you can see that it automatically has generated, and for some reason it thought, this time it's going to do a pie chart. Normally it doesn't do a pie chart when it has that much data. Usually it will actually give me either a column or a bar chart. But for some reason, I think it had it in its head that I wanted a pie chart. So it automatically gave me a pie chart. I'm going to say add to a new sheet. One of the things that I have been seeing a lot of, by the way, is people have been posting on the internet that what if I wanted to be on that sheet? You would have to tell Copilot that you want it to be placed as an object on the current sheet, just so you know. Otherwise, your choice is it's automatically going to give you a new sheet. But notice what it actually did. So what it did was it automatically gave me a pivot table to go along with the chart, just so you're seeing that. So it gave me a new sheet with that chart, but it is a pivot table. So you can see when I click the chart, I have my pivot table field list, my pivot chart field list. If I click on the pivot table, I get my pivot table field list on the right-hand side. So just so you know, that's what it's doing. But I'm actually going to jump back to the company orders one more time, and I wanted to actually create a formula. So I'm going to talk to it again and tell it to create a formula for me. Create a formula to give me 10% of the extended price. So I'll show you what it's going to actually do. So it can actually create subtotals. So if I say create a subtotal based on the sales for, Tom Brady for the product of this product, it can do that. So the more specific you are, the more the better the results you're going to get. So what it did was it automatically is showing me calculates. Let me scroll up here a little bit. Here's a formula column to review. So it's giving me an example. This is what it could do if I want it to. Do I want to, after I analyze it, is this what I meant? If it is, I could say add column. So basically it created a brand new column, even gave it a title, which I could have manually done. And then it's giving me a 10%. And if I click on this, just so you know, it is actually a formula. So it created a formula based on the column extended price, multiplying it by that 10%. So it is a calculated formula. So if you needed to change it, like I want it to be 20%, I could simply go back and change it to be 20%, and it's going to update everything to be 20%. Because it's in a table, it automatically does it for the entire column down. So key to this is everything does have to be in a table for Copilot to work. Okay. Now, one more thing before I leave. I keep saying one more thing. I keep thinking about other great things that I use on a regular basis here in Excel. I want to ask it to, and let me talk to it because it's easier. Give me a general summary of all of the orders that were placed from January 1st, 2021 through the first quarter. Now, I probably didn't say that very well, but let's see if it automatically can generate that. Now, of course, like I said, this is older information. I have used it to say how many orders were placed last week, and it gave me the answer. I mean, it is just unbelievable what it can do. Because sometimes I don't really need the information to be a formula that I'm going to look at all the time. It's not something that I need to be on the screen, on the worksheet at all. Sometimes I just need to know the answer to it. Once again, if I'm using this in a meeting, that's where I'm starting to see the usage of this a lot. Somebody asks us specific information and boom, we have the answer right there. So you could see that it automatically came up with that. The extended price for the quantity on sale based on the count of the orders, it gave me that summary. If I want to add that to a new sheet, it's going to add it, and it's going to add it as a pivot table, just so you're aware that it does that. So pretty great features that we have available here using Copilot in Excel.